So, oddly enough, this has been talked about quite a bit all over Canucks social media. It has been discussed on the radio. Multiple episodes of Sportsnet 650 shows have dived into this trade idea, but we haven't made any videos about it here. I think part of that is because of sympathy. Part of it is because I feel kind of bad for the player and what he has had to go through the past calendar year. But that doesn't change the fact that when it comes to Vancouver Canucks forward Dakota Joshua, folks have been talking about the idea of trading him away. Why? Well, mostly because the Vancouver Canucks need money and they need a guy to play second-line center that isn't Filipino. I get it, Patrick Allvin, Adam Foote, they have expressed their confidence in Pettersson and Chytil, but still, the fact that Chytil is maybe an injury away from having a career ended, and the fact that Elias Pettersson only had 40-something points last season begs room for questioning. And it begs the room to ask for another center to make do with the Vancouver Canucks. Dakota Joshua is making $3.25 million a year till the end of 2027-2028. And for a guy who is projected to being a third liner, you can say that money might be a tad much. Now, I know Dakota Joshua's value is all over the place because last year he had 32 points in 63 games, 18 goals, 8 points in 13 games in the playoffs. Dakota Joshua, alongside of Bluger and Garland last year, was amazing. Like, the guy scored a through-the-legs goal. Who does that? He was a physical specimen, a goal-scoring machine, and he was an immediate fan favorite. Sure, the Vancouver Canucks might have acquiesced a little bit on Dakota Joshua's dollar amount at $3.25, but it's because they had ample reason to believe in this player. Then, the unfortunate happened last year. Dakota Joshua got cancer. Like, literally, you can't go out there and sugarcoat it any better than that. The guy had health problems, whatever. He had cancer. And so there always was a level of sympathy that Canucks fans had for Dakota Joshua, have currently, and I still feel that a lot too, which is why I feel kind of bad making a video about how this guy might be on the move. He only had 14 points in 57 games played the most recent season, so he didn't look all too great. He was also injured with some other stuff after returning to the Canucks lineup, but because of the Canucks' lack of center depth, and because Joshua has primarily played left wing, I know he can play center, but he has been more of a winger in Vancouver. All these things combined put together an argument that says that, yeah, he probably could be on the move. And we have insiders, we have 650 analysts going out there and saying, yeah, we're hearing about his name. It could be Joshua out. There will still be teams vying for this kind of a profile. I mean, he produced a lot last year. He was a physical monster. He can fight, he can hit, he can do everything he needs to do. The only problem was he got cancer and a bunch of other health problems heading into 2025's summer. But now, we're talking about an idea that was posted about on Sportsnet 650 yesterday. This was Satyar Shah and Josh Elliott Wolf on The People's Show, going over some potential replacements on the wing if you're moving Dakota Joshua or a Nils Hoglander. This is the quote here. If you're moving one of those guys to also help bring in a center and Baines is a replacement for those players, I think that makes a decent amount of success. Sat Shaw and Josh Elliott Wolf talking about Arshdeep Baines being given every chance to make the Canucks in 2025-2026. Now, Hoglander's name has also been discussed as potential trade fodder for the Vancouver Canucks. 24 years old, 5'9", 185, signed on till the end of 2028, making $3 million. Is Hoglander a top six winger in Vancouver? Maybe. I mean, you think about Filipino, EP, okay, those guys are your top two centers. Then on the wings, you have Vander Kane, Brock Besser, Connor Garland, and I guess Jake DeBrusk's in there. So Hoglander is third line, maybe? I don't know if you want to go Garland on the third line. He just signed a $6 million extension. But Nils Hoglander had himself 25 points in 72 games played this most recent year, a step down from the 24 goals and 36 points he had in 2023-2024. He was so productive last year. Everything the guy was shooting was going in, despite the fact that Rick Tocchet's style didn't really hold the best results for everybody. Like, EP didn't really play out too well, Kuzmenko didn't play well, Daniel Sprong didn't play well. You would think that Hoglander wouldn't play well either, but he did have that crazy explosion of goals. He dipped to only 8 goals this previous season, and I think a lot of that has to do with Rick Tocchet and the way that he would deploy Hoglander in 24-25. But here's the thing. $3 million for Hoglander. Dakota Joshua was making 3.2. These guys are very reasonably taking up a considerable amount of cap space on the Vancouver Canucks. But the question is, if you trade these guys away, are you comfortable with an Arshdeep Bains coming in? Is that the right guy to fill in that gap? You had Chester Mang going out there and saying this: I can't wait to lose Hoglander for some random like Vladislav Domestikov and then see Hoglander go off for 60 points and pretend like we never saw it coming. Here's the thing. Could you see Hoglander as a 60-point winger at some point in the future? Honestly, if he's playing with Pettersson, I can see it. The guy is only 24 years old. He is still improving, and he is slowly getting back up to speed with more ice time and more commitment to making the right plays and making the right reads. For what it's worth, Chester Mang's tweet over here, it was actually replied to by Sat Shah. I actually said they shouldn't trade Hoglander today. That should have been the headline, LOL. And ultimately, if you think about the replacement, if it is a Hoglander, Satyar Shah says it shouldn't be, but if it is, or if it's a Dakota Joshua, if you have a guy like Arshdeep Bains stepping in and taking over that role, I actually do think there's a reasonable way to think about Bains as a potential NHL winger at this point. 24 years old, 6 feet, 183, 43 points in 50 games this most recent season in Abbey, and 24 points in 24 games in the playoffs. Make no mistake about it, Arshdeep Bains has been an anomaly of a development profile from year to year to year. Undrafted, out of the Red Deer Rebels system in the WHL. He was a former Vancouver Northeast Chief. He was a former Valley West Hawk. He was part of the Delta Hockey Academy. Arshdeep Bains, local guy through and through, whose draft-eligible season in 2019 saw him put up 18 points in 63 games with the Red Deer Rebels. When was he born? Jan 9, 2001. Yeah, so he was eligible for the 2019 draft. This is not a good year for a draft-eligible player, but the years to come started to see more production for Bains, 112 points in 68 games, which is why he got the contract with Vancouver in the first place. Then he became an Abbey Canuck, he had some NHL games, he scored a goal with the Vancouver Canucks, but inevitably put himself up at the top of Abbotsford playoff prosperity and allowed himself to be one of the top guys on that team. This is a player who works himself to the top level of every league that he plays in, and it's so weird how he's able to do that consistently. Now, Arshdeep Bains had a cup of coffee at the NHL. He didn't look all too great, to be honest, but he was in a developmental spot. And now it's like, all right, if there's a winger spot open, people are talking about Max Sasson. People are talking about Arshdeep Bains. People are talking about Linus Karlsson, how these guys could be replacement bottom 6 level forwards for the Vancouver Canucks. If your bottom 6 is losing out on a Dakota Joshua or a Nils Hoglander, sure, there's money being freed up, but you need guys to fill in that role. I actually do feel more comfortable with Bains in the lineup in a 4th line role versus a guy like Dakota Joshua making 3-point-something million, assuming Joshua doesn't get back to the form that he was at last year. He was really amazing last year, but that all kind of went away throughout the course of 25, so I don't really know if I'm too optimistic on that. Obviously, it feels bad because of his health problems, but still. Arshdeep Bains is a guy that I think is more than worthy to at least get a shot to play with the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not 100% confident that he'll be an 82-game NHL player, but if he gets a shot and he works with it, we can see what happens, and I think he deserves the opportunity to be given that chance. So I think ultimately there are a number of guys that can fill that spot. It's just a matter of whether or not you think Baines or Sasson or Carlson is the right guy. Which ones do you think make the team out of camp? Which ones do you think are the next guys up, assuming a Dakota Joshua or a Hoglander gets traded? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about that trade idea in general. Do you think Joshua or Hoglander should be on the move? What are your opinions? Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this British Rolls 99. And bye.